Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, joined by my big brother and yours, the man with the hat, the man who's not ashamed to be bald, but he's going to hide it anyway, Mr. Ainsley Bowden.
This is very true. I'll tell you what, it's cold as hell here in Kansas City. So I've got tea, I've got the hat, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm not in Detroit. It's still cold, but I'm ready to talk some games, boys. We've got some stuff to talk about.
Oh,
a lot of stuff.
We have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. But before we can do that just yet, we must introduce the man who has finally touched greatness. He's held the DualSense Edge, the host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, Mr. Joseph Moran. How are you, sir?
I mean, it's all right.
Feels like a bag of sand. Hello, everyone. Yeah, man, I finally got my DualSense Edge thanks to Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost. And let me tell you something. This thing, it's a controller. It's got buttons and doohickeys and dongles. It's nice.
It does.
You were fascinated before we recorded. We were playing just a touch of Fortnite. A bit. We got to almost.
You didn't understand. You went straight to judgment as often.
First thing he says, Ains, is like, "This thing's crazy. You could change profiles on it." I was like, "Oh boy."
How fast you could.
Luke is always, or not Luke, Joe is always amazed at the smallest things, and it's adorable. I love it.
Thank you. And God forbid I get excited. It's not like switching the profiles.
Yeah, the touch of a button. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
No, yeah. No, I'm saying how you could create one like is faster on PlayStation as it is on Xbox, where I feel that app is a little bit cumbersome. That's all.
Okay. So you're saying like the idea of going into settings and making a profile for it?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't find
it in less than 15 seconds. It was like boop, boop, boop.
15 seconds. It's fast.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's difficult on Xbox.
It's just I gotta go through one app into another.
It has a quick select button, so it brings it up in the UI, which is really cool. I think that's what Joe's talking about.
Yeah.
But when you go into the actual software, it's pretty much a copy and paste of Xbox's. It's very similar.
Relaxed.
Gotcha.
It is. It's the same exact thing.
I mean, it has been a while since I've touched the Xbox Elite controllers.
A woman.
App.
Oh, it's a touch grass.
Well, it's been a week or two, but yeah, and your mother still hasn't called, which has me a little worried. But
I know she doesn't stay here in the Midwest usually this long.
Well,
normally she would have gotten back to you, but
yeah, she keeps on complaining about my coarse hands, but I told her that's what a man's hand feel like. I get it. It's been a while, but here we are.
Boys, can I just know, since the last episode, we've had an Xbox developer direct. The Last of Us show has just gone into exponentially incredible proportions. Hi-Fi Rush stealth dropped to critical acclaim, well above 90 on the old critic verse, which is pretty darn cool. We found out Jedi Fallen Order's got a delay. The first party is probably not going to E3. I think Xbox died somewhere in there. I mean, it has been.
I think PlayStation did as well. PSVR2 died last night.
Oh, that's right. That's right. PSVR2
and then was revived today.
Yeah, Rest in Power King.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, it's been quite a week of news, boys. I don't even know where to start. I tell you what, DC went through a whole smorgasbord of changes today.
Again.
I didn't watch any of it. I couldn't handle it emotionally. I was like,
really?
No, not yet. I'm just all right.
Well,
it is what it's gonna be, and I'm not upset. So I was like, all right.
Let's start with that developer direct. I don't want to like go into each game release or whatever. I don't want to touch ground that Season Gaming already has. But I do. I maybe the question here for this one, real quick.
Yeah.
Is there any notes that Nintendo and PlayStation could take from that direct style thing that Xbox has done? Because I feel like I think across the board, everybody's like, this is phenomenal. This is excellent. Do you think that there's something there that other companies can take going forward?
Yeah,
across the board,
I do.
It was positive. Phenomenal. I was not going to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to hype it
Sorry.
up.
So I was just gonna say, I know we've talked a lot about what we want out of Xbox for these kind of more intermittent updates, and I think this was their best yet. I love the format. To your question, Joe, I think the one thing I liked about it, and I've said this before, is I do like when developers get to talk about their games, even if it's like concise and brief, right? Am I frozen on camera again?
Yeah, you are.
Damn it.
You are.
I'll fix that. But
you try getting better tech?
Better internet, maybe?
But I like that they were able to interject developers and some commentary from kind of leaders in these studios for the games, while at the same time keeping it concise and not feeling like, all right, this is droning on, this is slow, this is boring me. It was very well paced while having that. And as much as I enjoy the kind of quickness and conciseness of Nintendo's Direct and State of Play on PlayStation, I do prefer at least having a little bit of development input rather than just trailer all hit at once. So I actually prefer this format to those others.
One of the cool things is that I was grinning from ear to ear. The only game that was for me in this Direct was Redfall, but I was grinning ear to ear and genuinely excited hearing these developers talk about their products, hearing them talk about what made their game special. That to me, I mean, that's the whole core of XCP's like interview element, right? Is just hearing developers talk, and that felt good. And I thought they nailed it. So Joe, I think it's a great question. And once Ain said it, I was like, oh, obvious. But yeah, having the developers talk about their games is special. It feels good.
Yeah. Sony does it a little bit with some of their state of plays, like Ratchet and Clank, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us. They do have those, but it feels, it is a scripted, here's a level in Ratchet, here's a level in Ghost. I'm going to take you through all the things. But I very much love the little intros that you had, like Tango in particular was just oozing with personalities, with both heads there talking about their game. And there is like Xbox really tries to put their developers up there first and foremost. Like they want them to be the stars, and I appreciate that. And sometimes it just doesn't land well with some like interview segments that just feel long in the tooth. This felt short, concise, you have personality. Now let's get into this game, and you can kind of just hear the passion from like the director of Hi-Fi Rush talk about his game. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the greatest thing that Xbox did was it couldn't set clearer expectations of what this was while having a surprise in there that people didn't expect. So now it kind of sets a cadence of like, yeah, you're gonna get, we're talking about this, and this, nothing else. So those are where the expectations, can be. So that's what I really like out of this. Them setting expectations as clear as it can get, so you're not thinking that you're gonna get Starfield when you're not. And I appreciate that. So
when you look at the set expectations, I think that's a lesson that Xbox has learned, kind of dropped a little bit, and then had to relearn here and there over the last 3 years. In the rollout to the Xbox Series S and X, and then through to now. But you're right. Like getting ahead of expectations is so important. And Sony's done a good job of that in the past at times, and other times missed the mark. Nintendo has done a really good job of it. And yet people still expect the world. But when you know what you're going to get going in, and then there's a nice surprise, but not one that's going to, like, you can't shadow drop a Hi-Fi Rush game every time kind of thing. Right. You can't, but having a nice surprise or treat here and there is great. But the core of the developer direct was not Hi-Fi Rush. It was everything they said it'd be. Yeah. And that's the win, is that you got everything you said it'd be, and then a little bit extra. Icing on the cake, chef's kiss.
And
I think, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, go for it, Ance.
I was just going to say, I was going to kind of jump to a different aspect of it. So if you were going to continue the point, please do.
I was too. So you go, Joe.
I was going to say that I liked how they specifically called out the release dates as well, right? We know Redfall, we know ESO, Hi-Fi Rush was an obvious one. Did it bother you at all? Did it detract from it at all for you guys that Forza didn't get a release date as expected? Meaning it was expected to have a release date. It didn't get one. And now it looks as though, from what I'm hearing, others are saying it could be third quarter. Does that bother you guys?
No, and probably because I'm not a racing guy. If I was, I'd be a little bummed. But as long as it comes out this year, I'm happy about it. I think we expected the release date. I don't think they ever came out and said, and the release date for all these games. So I think we just assumed, and assumptions are the devil's work. So I didn't have that type of expectation.
Okay.
I was not disappointed by that either, but I think there's some context that's required here. First, you had Hi-Fi Rush drop during there. That's an first-party Xbox exclusive drop during the show. You've got Age
and
of Empires,
91 on OpenCritic too.
Yeah. Oh, and deservedly so. Man,
it's only 4 hours.
That game director should get some props. Cough, cough, hint, hint.
Same as the Edge's battery life. Am I right?
How dare you? There's so much technology.
You guys want to keep interrupting my well-made point?
Yeah, sorry. Go.
I think there's some context in that. Hi-Fi Rush drops during the show, first-party Xbox exclusive. Age of Empires Definitive Edition, Xbox console exclusive, first-party, dropping today. It's out now at the time of this recording. Minecraft Legends in April, Redfall in May, and then that you've got Starfield and Starfield and Motorsport for this year. Already you have done more. Well, you've already done more just like as of today than you did in the entirety of 2022.
That's
You're
true.
good. You know what I mean? Like, joking aside, not trying to make it a meme, you've already dropped more than you dropped in 2022. So I think we're okay because we've got dates of 4 first-party games. Plus, we know that there's going to be 2 more first-party games minimum. And you've got expansions coming for Horizon. You've got content coming for Halo Infinite. You've got stuff coming to ESO. You're going to get another season in Sea of Thieves. Like, you've got a lot now. So I think that's the reason why the Motorsport date didn't even phase me. Plus, the other, how many games do we see bump and bump and bump and bump? Jedi Fallen Order today, bump by a month. I don't want to have a bump by a month for Forza or anything else. I think bump by a month, like, what are you doing in that month that is so crucial? It's very rare that you're changing the meta of the game, right? So I don't want that to be the case. It happened with, what was it, Last of Us remake or Last of Us 2? Where it kept getting little. Was it Last of Us 2? Get little delay. That's annoying. Like, just don't do it. Don't do it till you're ready.
And the thing that sucked about that delay was they delayed it by a month or 2 for polish, and then I think they delayed it again because of the pandemic. So they're like, I don't know how this game's gonna land in the middle of a pandemic. Game's about that. So and then the leaks happened, and then they're just like, here's release date. They're trying to get ahead of it. But I'm with you.
And also, as Aid says in the chat, let's not forget about their Game Pass launches, right? They have Wolong coming at launch. They have Atomic Heart coming at launch. Ooh. They have Liza P coming at launch. I mean, as Luke just correctly said, the year is already more exciting for Xbox in January than it was all last year.
Yeah. Yep. Remember when people complained the first week of January, where's Xbox news? I'm losing faith in Xbox. Remember that?
Yeah, what was that, like the 8th or the 9th?
Yeah. Right. It's like, it's been 8 days, guys. Let's relax.
I think there was nothing wrong with There was nothing wrong with noting that Xbox has done a bad job communicating up to that point, but the inflammatory element of that was annoying. It was like, knock it off, guys. But there's nothing wrong with acknowledging, they've been quiet for a while. They didn't show up to Game Awards, et cetera, et cetera.
I still think the Game Awards absence was a miss. I haven't moved on from that.
I also bet High Five Rush was probably that game.
It could have been.
I don't think High Five Rush would get into praise if they'd shown it.
No, I don't think either.
Don't show that game. The game does not show well. You can't watch gameplay
but I think,
like I'm sold in the same way that playing it would be. Sorry.
Yeah, I just think, you're fine, dude. I think, you look at the audience at the developer direct, and obviously, again, in the eyes of the gaming community on Twitter and us and podcasts and stuff, it did really well. Hi-Fi Rush is great, et cetera, what we just said. You still are nowhere near the audience levels of Game Awards. You're not even in the ballpark. So I just think it's a different conversation, but no big deal.
Yeah.
If they could have shadow dropped it during Game Awards,
that would have been cool.
then it would have been cool. I don't know that. I still don't know that's what's coming out around the Game Awards that would have stolen thunder, because right now Hi-Fi Rush got to have its moment.
Yeah.
Late December, nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like there was something.
Callisto came out.
Callisto, High on Life. High on Life.
Yeah.
High on Life as well. You're right. Yes, High on Life did come out for Game Pass.
Which prior to Justin Roiland's thing, that was getting all types of praise, right?
Things,
yes, it was
plural. Yeah,
plural. Yeah, I don't actually know the details well enough to make fun.
Oh man, he's a real piece of trash.
Is he?
Can we stop with these guys getting like a semblance of power and immediately going into the dumpster? Like, what is it with these assholes?
Power corrupts, absolutely. Every time I see someone fall from grace,
it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
At least, Mr. Beast gave people the gift of sight. You know, I heard that was the thing that happened. He seems like pretty great.
I don't even know what you're talking about either. But
really? Apparently, like there was like 1,000 people he gave like a special surgery or something to, and they can all see now. Too long.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
That just highlights how broken the system is, but like it's nice. But like when his heel turn happens, you know, like he's gonna give all his money away before he dies and insult a JK. Like before that heel turn, so far so good. But no, you're right. Go for it.
Well, no, I was thinking about this is a sidebar, but like I was thinking about the Justin Roiland like antics or whatnot, and I'm trying to remember the details of this. But Ryan McCaffrey put out a good comment that Xbox can't catch a break with like its marketing with it. Like they had a High on Life exclusive, dude, all this praise, boom, that shot down. Stalker, I think Stalker was one of them. Like Stalker exclusive, that boom, that shot down. Halo Infinite was having problems, boom, shot down. Halo Show, boom, blew up in its face. Like they were just having miss after miss or like, and like some of them their fault, others not. Like not their fault that Roiland was crazy or that the war in Ukraine happened and stuff like that. So I'm trying to remember the details of it, but it reminds me that how much business success in this industry can come down to sheer luck. Maybe luck's not the right word in some cases, but like it can really come down to a moment, an interpretation. Like they nailed the Xbox Series S leak. They nailed that moment. How do you nail High on Life? You don't. You know what I mean? Like you stop marketing it suddenly.
It's true because like Xbox, like they seemingly get this win for like a day or two, and then something like terrible happens. Like High on Life, best like numbers on a Game Pass for like a third-party game. Then we all find out Justin Roiland is a big piece of shit. And then like
Stalker.
Stalker happens. But I'm thinking like High on Life, everybody's saying, oh my god, this is great, this is awesome, Game Pass is great. And then all of a sudden we get the news of like 343, you know, what is it, laid off 93 folks. They're switching engines. It's seemingly again, just outsider looking in, kind of leaving Infinite behind to go into something else. And it's just like, oh guys, God, like it's like I'm rooting for the Mets all over again. It's like we're doing so good.
It does feel kind of like that.
Doing so good. You know, we were picking up steam, gosh darn it. And that happens. But Ains, I want you to have a segment called Ains Unpacks Things. Could you unpack for us what has happened with Halo Infinite so far? Because there was some explosion of news, I think from Bloomberg, if I'm not mistaken. And then everybody's like, I can corroborate on this. So
it's a lot, Joe.
It's been a day. Well, it's not really a lot because
it's not 3 minutes.
No,
I'll give you 3
I know
minutes.
You gave me the segue. I'm sorry, Luke. It's a lot to unpack, but it's not so much because we already said all this 2 weeks ago.
Okay, good.
I'm glad that well, except for Unreal, which we'll get to.
Okay.
But I'm glad that Schreier has caught up. That's cool.
Oh.
So I'm gonna start here.
Okay.
Which, if we rehash what I shared a couple weeks ago, it's actually the 20th, so almost 2 weeks ago. And Bathrobe Spartan, Bathrobe Spartan,
chief of CD Gaming leaked this.
You gonna let me finish? So Bathrobe Spartan, and we talked about. We said multiple things. Over 100 people let go. Schreier's number is too low. It's more than 95. And I think that's why he said it in his article of at least 95. It's more than that. 343 is only working on multiplayer. We said that as well. Of course, everyone tried to counter and say, no, they're still making single player games. Okay. He said today in his article, they're only working on multiplayer. And what was the other thing? The big reset, basically, right? Structurally, internally, a huge shift in what they're doing. The plans that they originally had for single player, gone. Single player expansions for Infinite, gone. The only focus internally at 343 at the moment is live service for Halo Infinite. That's the only dev that's happening. And that there's a complete rethink as to how they approach Halo in the future. And I thought I was going crazy today, guys. I literally went back and reread Bathrobe's thread. I reread my own article. And I'm like, what did we say that was different? Because I'm going to share this. And of course, he didn't post this on Twitter. Here's what he posted on Era 2 weeks ago after we posted our information. So he said, this is Jason Schreier. He said, I ran these bullet points by a few people. While it's true that 343 is focused on multiplayer, the stuff about campaign DLC being scrapped is false. Interesting. And a lot of this is either wrong or just speculation. So what is your article about today, Jason? Because I'm pretty sure you literally just repeated everything we said 2 weeks ago. Other than the Unreal thing, which I'm going to get to. But the layoffs, the reset, the multiplayer only focus, and the scraps of DLC. We already talked about all that 2 weeks ago. That he said was wrong. And by the way, other people in the Xbox community, and you'll know I'm not going to name names, said it was bullshit. And at the time, you guys know, I said, I'm not going to argue with anyone, but I trust my sources, and we'll see what the truth is. And so I'm a little annoyed that we get this Jason Schreier article today, him acting like he's breaking some big news, when all he did, other than the Unreal piece, is say the same shit we said 2 weeks ago.
This wasn't scripted nor planned.
No, I love this.
This gun came strapped and ready.
He brought receipts. Wow. Calling Jason. You're probably blocked already.
You're probably blocked.
He probably blocked you.
I'm blocked by
I don't care. Like, I'm not blocked because I've never challenged him because he doesn't like to be challenged. You know that.
He doesn't.
Yeah. He's a very small man. It sucks.
But
it sucks.
Like, I don't understand it. And then the worst part is other people are like, oh, I can corroborate this. I'm like, corroborate what? We were told it was BS 2 weeks ago. Now suddenly it's true. What happened? So anyway, it's been a fun day.
When this gets clipped on Twitter, this is going to be an interesting firestorm, but I like it.
I know I've said on Cast and XEP and probably a few others, I hate how few journalists there are in gaming, and I've said, and I will stand by, we need Jason Schreier and several others in terms of like journalism. It sucks when one of the few voices we have that are actual journalists have such a fragile and timid ego. He's a small man. He's very weak to the idea of being challenged. And I hate that because we need him. He's brilliant. He's capable. He's smart. He has great sources. And he tends to check behind his work really well. And it just sucks because you did say all of this. You and many others did say it.
And to just go a little further, if you go back in our DMs, trust me, dude, I got receipts for days. You go back in our DM, the Cast DM. Yeah, I said it feels really weird to be called out as bullshit by people like Jason and others in the industry when I know I'm right about this, and we're going to look back on this and I'm just going to smile. Well, here I am smiling. Yep. Because all he did today was validate what we said already. If you go and actually read the article, by the way, you can't read it because Bloomberg makes you sign up for an account. But luckily, Mo actually took screen caps of the whole article because I wasn't going to sign up. And I read the whole article and I'm like, for Jason, to your point, Luke, whether I agree with him or not on this or anything else, typically he obviously has tons of sources in the industry, right? Mm-hmm. I would never claim, I think I even laughed at the time, like it felt actually weird for Jason to be saying something that we said happened was false when we knew it was true. I was like, this feels odd because obviously he has more inside info than pretty much anyone.
Right.
And it's his job. And this is your hobby.
And it's his job. Yeah. So it's not like I'm saying, like on any other topic, I'm going to challenge Jason Schreier. But I knew on this specific thing, we knew that our info was accurate. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shared it.
Right.
And it's just been an interesting day. I'll leave it at that. But when you joke about a lot to unpack, so we can touch on that if you want. I feel like we already did.
No, we did. I just wanted to trigger you. And you gave me more than I could ever hope for.
The Unreal thing is where the real news is. So,
well, hold on. Before do want to talk Halo and Unreal? Do we want to step away from the developer direct?
Oh, we're stepping away.
Whatever you guys want to do.
I left away.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Then let's go to Halo and Unreal because we had a heated debate. Was it last episode or the one before it?
About Unreal? We haven't talked about Unreal in a while.
About Halo.
Last episode. Yes.
Was it last? Okay. So shout out to you. I'm gonna take that L hard on the argument, not the point, but the argument. I lost it halfway through, man. About Halo in general.
Oh, I thought you wanted to talk about Fortnite story content again.
Yeah, here he goes.
They added the Dragon Ball people.
The the weebs. They're in there.
Oh, the skins. The weebs.
Got the cloud.
No, anyway, go ahead.
So, talk us through this part, Ains, because I'm gonna tell you what I know, and I want you to fill in my gaps for me if you're right. Who? It was reported at one point that Halo might be switching to Unreal, and from what I can remember, we all scoffed at the idea. You don't build an engine, Slipstream,
right,
and then abandon it. Well, flash to now, Halo's content has been slow. Multiplayer, single player, I don't care what your argument is. The content's slow, right?
Yep.
And we're not getting a lot, and then you're seeing layoffs, and now you're hearing Unreal is really a thing, and it seems like more and more people are reporting on it, corroborating sources, etc. Is Slipstream? Is it a failure?
Slipspace.
Like, is it gone? Is it done? Slipspace. I'm sorry. Is it Slipspace? I say Slipstream because of Star Trek Voyager. What up, fam?
God, he's so lame.
So tell me, is that a miss? Is that true? Like, what's going on with Unreal, Ains? Like, tell me this.
This is an aspect of the story I didn't know, obviously, otherwise I would have said something. So Jason mentioned this in his article, and it's weird, right? Because as I said, when this came up, 6 months ago when we first talked about it, 343 has experimented with Unreal from what we know for many years. This was not new, right? They've talked about going to Unreal previously. They've dabbled with it. They had, from what I understand, they actually have people that were contracted within 343 to work on porting code to Unreal to see how it would transition. Okay. Some more info has come out literally today. So a lot of info being thrown around, but Jason's article spurred then Jez to post today that yes, a recent development is they basically had their come to Jesus moment internally as part of this reset with the staffing, whether to go to Unreal in the future as part of this reset or to stay on Slipspace. And from what they're saying, the decision has been made. They're going to move to Unreal. So where this really gets weird, what we talked about previously was, because the original rumor, if you remember, was they're going to move Infinite to Unreal. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen, right? There's a number of reasons why. What we're hearing now is because it all ties together, right? We know that 343 is only working on Infinite at the time being in terms of active development, and they're focused on the live service delivery of HCS Year 2, Season 3, Season 4, etc. Okay. So all of Infinite stays as is, and the plan, at least for the foreseeable future that we know of, is to continue delivering on Infinite faster and better than they have been. We've talked about that. What it looks like now, and the reason many of us said there's no way they move Infinite to Unreal is, one, you'd have to replicate everything you've already built, which is ridiculous. Forge is a big factor in that, right? And then at the time, you had campaign DLC talked about. So it sounds like they've made the decision to move to Unreal for all future projects. So Infinite now becomes essentially a standalone game. Gotcha. So Infinite standalone, no campaign DLC. It's only live service, and Forge is obviously a part of that. And there will be PvE stuff in Forge. We talked about that, right? There's going to be further additions to Infinite, but that will be standalone. And then whatever they develop in the future, which, as we joked about last week, will likely now be years out, is going to be Unreal 5 or the whatever version of Unreal, right?
You know what would be cool? I'm sorry. No. Come back to me, please. You tell me. Ask me what would be cool later.
No. So the only other really interesting thing, so we can talk about that, but then the really interesting thing that Jason commented on but didn't definitively say, and I don't know, I can't verify, is Tatanka. So we've talked about Halo's Battle Royale mode, right? That's been in development by Certain Affinity for at least 2 years, if not more. Right now, from what we understand, they have up to 100 devs on it. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
As of last month, December 2022, we still have code files, which Bathrobe shared today. We were talking about it previously. There's code files that Tatanka is still being updated in Slipspace as part of Halo Infinite. It's built into the Halo Infinite UI. So going back to our prior discussion, when we talked about the engine shift, I said it doesn't make sense because, one, you're not going to move Infinite. And two, if your plan is to support Battle Royale and a bigger, broader live service strategy that we know is being coded in Slipspace, how the hell do you move to Unreal? It doesn't happen, right? So now the rumor is Tatanka itself, along with future single-player Halo games or other experiences, Tatanka is going to be rethought and shifted to Unreal as well.
Wow. So it's pretty much just a restart on everything.
That's what it sounds like. I can't confirm
like James
the
Gunn
Tatanka
came
piece,
in,
but
yeah,
James Gunn came in and took over Halo. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So this is sad. The last
Sure.
comment, I'm sorry. This is obviously sad because we expected Tatanka to be shown this year, and to hopefully, in addition to Infinite's multiplayer offering, add the Battle Royale or large scale, whatever it looked like, right? Large scale implementation and make Infinite this broader multiplayer experience. Which, if all of this is true, there's no way Tatanka is shown this year.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the only way this is cool. So, man, if they do switch to Unreal, Unreal's a pretty fantastic engine and that a lot of Xbox studios and talent have experience with. And Halo it's not like you need to redesign what Halo is supposed to look like. You'll have to build it, but you don't have to rethink that element. It would be really cool if, while waiting for Halo Infinite's successor, like the big, like whatever the next big one, like Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, Halo 7, whatever it is,
Halo Infiniter.
Yeah, more Infinite. Infinity plus one. It'd be really cool as if you got in Unreal like a small 4-hour game, like a Ground Zeroes 4-hour Halo experience or an
ODST.
Exactly. If you
why do you think I wore this?
There you go. Like I wore my Kratos shirt. If you did like an ODST a year until the big one, that'd be really cool. Proof of concept.
Agreed.
Halo's not dead. Don't forget us. Hey, Luke and everybody else that spent tons of money on Halo Infinite stuff because you thought it'd be a platform for 10 years.
Whoops.
Hey, don't feel bad. Dan still has Anthem currency, so you'll never feel as bad as that.
Now, boys, watch this transition. This is going to be pretty sick because I'll have a chance to talk.
I hope it's still Halo because there's a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Oh God, is there really?
There's really.
Is there really that much? I really just thought that was it.
No.
All right, tell me what else happened in Halo Land.
Well, a couple other things I can share, which I've talked about today.
This will be in a Jason Schreier article in 2 weeks.
Yep. Jason,
man.
I hope you're watching.
So it sounds like some of the experimentation is picking up on shifting to Unreal, and what I mean by that is I heard that there is they are testing out starting to port Forge to Unreal, which obviously doubles down on the idea that the future support for all things Halo is going to be on Unreal, right? I also, a couple people that I talked about that know more about development talked about Unreal 5 the suite of tools not being as limited as Unreal 4 was, especially as it relates to open world development, which obviously based on Infinite and maybe future titles, who the hell knows at this point, is key, but it should have a role into Tonka as well. So that, to your point, Luca Brown, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There being more knowledgeable people, not just within XGS, right, Xbox Game Studios, but just in general, right, in the industry about Unreal, because it's so widely used. It hopefully, it feels like they're kind of taking it on the chin now and just saying, look, we got to take our lumps in the short term so that we can be better in the long run. And it feels like what they're doing. And if you remember, one of the key things we talked about as a possibility, I put it at the end of my article as my tinfoil hat theory, is that in the future, as 343 focuses on Halo as an IP and multiplayer, they'll bring more Xbox Game Studios into working on Halo. This could tie up with that very nicely, right? Because you have the expertise across, especially studios like Coalition, who are basically Unreal Engine experts, right? Along with some other studios that really know their stuff with Unreal, bring them on to help with Halo. There's a lot of converging information that a bunch of us behind the scenes are sharing, and it feels like it's all coming together to this kind of culminating point. But the short term is clear. The short term is Infinite is pretty much all that we're going to see this year out of Halo. So if you enjoy Infinite, great, and you'll get more of what Infinite is, great. If you don't, sorry, but it's going to be a long time before you see something else. I think someone else in the chat said it, but at this point, right, we've got to hear from Pierre Hintz. We have to hear from him. The head of 343 has to come out and make a statement. The statement last week that we got was nonsense.
Oh, right.
Come out
even a stick. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was nonsense. Come on, that was damage control. Come out and really talk about the future of Halo. It doesn't have to be this week. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be tomorrow. But in the next month or two, I would say at least, you got to come out and really make an honest to fan statement about Infinite, the future of Halo, what's being worked on, and what your priorities are. You just have to. This IP is too big to not, and let all this speculation. I shouldn't be the one reporting fucking news on Halo Infinite. Give me a break.
Oh,
like
I need to
I'm not.
Is he cussing in here? Damn.
It just doesn't make sense. Like I'm literally a small outlet, just a Halo player who happened to know some people talking about a Halo Infinite. Why is info coming from me? It shouldn't be. Or even someone like Jason Schreier, it shouldn't be, right?
It's not coming from you. It's coming from Jason Schreier.
But it shouldn't be coming from anyone else. Like, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah. It seems like there's just a lot of recalibration and restructuring at 343 as they try to find out or try to reconfigure Halo's soul. Like 2 days ago, right? I think it was like 2 days ago. Like Phil Spencer came out and talking about the success of the Last of Us show. Yes, I'm transitioning. It's been 12 minutes, guys. Let this topic die. Saying, "Oh my God, like the Last of Us show, it's great because one of the showrunners is literally the guy that made the game. That's why it's so successful, because they understand the formula, because the team at Naughty Dog is a part of this formula." And then 2 days afterwards, was it Kiki Wolfkill, who was transmedia at 343, has found another position somewhere else. So it feels like Halo in and of itself is just it's in that transitional period. Unfortunately, this one didn't hit. You got to work with what you have for the time being while you're thinking about the long-term future of the brand, which sucks, but it is what it is. Oh my God, Luke, what?
Well, just say the nice thing is Infinite's a miss, but it's very playable. It's very fun. There's a lot to enjoy. Yeah. Yes. So, like, if that's our miss, could be a lot worse, boys.
Sure.
No, I mean, Infinite, we've talked about it countless times, right? Infinite is a great game. It needs more content. It needs it more delivered more quickly. And it feels like that's what they're doing for this year. So if they can actually accomplish that and hit these 3-month seasons with extra maps and changes, blah, 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 everything we've said a million times, then Infinite will be fine in the short term. But we need to understand, if we're not getting campaign DLC, if they're switching engines, which is a big undertaking, if they've fired a big portion of their staff, we need to understand what that vision is. And the stuff that Phil Spencer and Pierre have told us in the past 2 weeks in terms of statements have been utterly meaningless. They've been
Words.
PR statements. Yeah. So about the Halo, sorry, you said about Kiki Wolfkill, the show, right? So Wolfkill and Frank O'Connor, by the way, now both show as Microsoft employees, not 343 employees.
For a while though, hasn't he?
Yeah, since I think third quarter, something like that. Maybe last year. I don't remember exactly. But we know the showrunners for Halo Season 2 are different than the first season. But how do you dig out of this mess? And when I say mess, I'm talking about our opinion. Like, again, I have to reiterate, it financially and viewership-wise, it was a big success, whether we like it or not.
You kill Quan Ha in the first minute. Okay. Quan Ha dies off screen.
The execution,
Chief wakes up and Cortana was running a simulation. She can never control his body. That's not a thing. That's what happens. Everything that happened in the first season.
Deviating from the plot has to make sense. I like what actually Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann said. It's like it has to be better. If we're deviating, it has to be better than the original idea. And so, now transitioning into the Last of Us show as kind of like a gut check. Oh no, we're done talking about Halo. We're done. It's over. Give up on
it. All right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh boy, you like to talk about this thing. I just would like to do a gut check on how.
Oh, let me guess. He's moving to something PlayStation related. Here we go.
Because it's about time that I can start talking. But I want to know your gut check so far, because it's been 2 episodes since. What is the Last of Us show doing that Halo isn't doing, and what can showrunners in the future that have IP that people love from gaming kind of take from what Craig's doing over there with the Last of Us show? Luke, I'll give it to you. Ains had 12 minutes to talk. I said 3, and he took advantage of that 4 times over.
So I have a really, I think, unique relationship with The Last of Us compared to a lot of the people in our podcast community that are going to be enjoying the show, in that I don't really enjoy the games. I can respect them for what they are, but I don't like them. I don't enjoy playing them. What's wrong, Ains? So I sat down with my wife and my mother-in-law. We watched the first episode. From that moment, super enjoyable. Really enjoyed the quality. It's evident from the get-go. It's funny because it's like a beat for beat remake of The Last of Us until episode 3. And I will not spoil anything. Don't misunderstand me. But it was great because my wife was saying, oh my gosh, I really like this character. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Tell me about Tess. And so fun moments of that. But my wife is able to enjoy it as a non-gamer, non-interest. This is just a great show. It's kind of like The Mandalorian. You don't need to like Star Wars to appreciate the show. You don't need to like video games or know PlayStation or ever even heard of The Last of Us to look at this and say, this has had love, quality, and time poured into it to give us the best product possible. You can't do that with a lot of video game adaptations. Resident Evil and Halo, top of my mind on that one. Just can't. You just can't. You look at Edge Runners, you look at parts of the Witcher show, and you're like, all right, cool. But The Last of Us, I think, has always been in the gaming space a little bit up its own ass. Mm-hmm. But as a show, I think it works far better. The medium is more appropriate. There's more allowance for certain moments to slow down because you don't need to interact. You just need to watch. You don't need to be a part of. And for me, that works better. For others, I'm sure it does not. But as a non-Last of Us fan, I could not be more thrilled by this show. Joe, do you want me to talk about my episode 3 experience or hold on?
Because again, you're not to me, Luke, you're the guy that's just show me the bar room brawl. You're this was not violent or action packed in the slightest. This was just this was a love story.
Yeah. In most video games, I want the bar room brawl. I want to play. I just want to be brain off. And there's times where I'll turn my brain on and really go in, but it's rare, right? I don't usually want to get cerebral in my gaming space. The Last of Us show is cerebral. It's heavy. It's painful. Without joking or trying to be inflammatory or anything, my wife saw me cry for the first time like an absolute baby. I haven't cried that hard in 10 years. It was like Kyle Stevenson looking at The Color Blue.
Oh,
I
that's my co-host. You want to fight?
but
I'll fight
but
you
I
right here.
I love me some Kyle. But like
You want to hear something hilarious? He was playing Dead Space. He literally texted me. He's like, "You're a real goddamn sicko." And I'm like, "What the fuck did I do?" He's like, "This game is terrifying." I'm like,
really? I don't think
is.
it's terrifying.
I
It's
love
awesome.
it.
Terrifying.
He's
That's
like, "I'm a
interesting.
baby back bitch. This is like," and he just got into Resident Evil. He loves them.
Nice.
But
Dude, what a time.
and now he's like, "This is the game that broke me. I don't know how far it could go."
Man, okay. Shout out to Kyle because that's
Yeah.
great. I love hearing
Yeah.
that because he's in a great time to become a horror fan for
I know,
gaming.
right? I'm sorry. Continue.
So episode 3 truly broke me. I have not cried that hard in 10 years. The writing, the presentation, the uncomfortable elements of that episode all pushed me to an emotional level. And I know I haven't been sleeping well. Maybe I was tired, whatever it was.
Sure.
It let me break a barrier in my mind that, like, guys, I never want to play Last of Us again, but I do, but I don't. I think it's like I love Joel. I've never liked Ellie. I don't like her in the show either. And like as a character, not the.
I know, Ains, I know. He sucks, dude.
I don't like
why we're even with him.
Sure. I don't know what it is, but I like Joel, right?
You hate kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
You hate optimism in the face of adversity. I get it.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I don't know how to describe it, but this show, guys, I just got so emotional. I'm still feeling it. It was powerful, and I think the actors were perfectly chosen for those roles.
Yeah.
The story was well written. It did something for me that I was not expecting it to, and I just want The Last of Us as a show. I don't know if our chat, I haven't been able to watch, but I just, guys, it truly got me. I wish I had better words.
That's awesome.
It broke me. I'm so proud of the people that made it. So happy for you, Last of Us people, because like if this was something I had adored prior to, I'd be weeping tears of joy at how much quality it is there.
So like as the gamer in the room, like in the household rather, like I'm loving it.
Like what?
And because you guys are fan gamers, you know, you just buy these statues to show them off. But like in my house, like my mom literally at the museum scene, she's like, "How many are there?" like I was able to like parse together some of the things of just like, yeah, you're nailing the scene and seeing how they deviate from the plot in slight ways to just full on, we're just giving you something different because you as much as I love Billstown, that can't translate into an action a show. Like how are you throwing monologue in a 45-minute like I'm taking down all these clickers with ease upside down, all that stuff. You can't. So I'm loving it so far in all the ways that the things that it's given me, the Easter eggs it's giving me, and in the choices of where they decide to take certain things. And every single one of my, my family members are on board with it. They love it. My brother is similar like you, Luke. He's not like a shower of emotions very often, right? And that last episode broke him because my brother is a caretaker for his wife. And so like when, Bill's cutting up Frank's food, my brother just cried. He's like, I stopped. My father, emotional. My father's the most stoic man. I saw his eyes just get a little watery because it's just like, that's a fear that you have, when growing old together, that eventual day. So like, it's just, it resonated with a lot of people in the house more than me because I'm gonna die alone, and I've come to grips with it. So like, though episode 3 didn't hit for me the way that it hit for the majority of folks out there, I still think it was a fantastic piece of television, and I feel like they're nailing my favorite character of The Last of Us, and just probably fiction is just Ellie. Like she's owning that role. She's doing so good. Even like my best friend who's very skeptical of Bella Ramsey, just like you are, Luke. Just midway through, she's like, "Oh my god, she's crushing it."
I bet.
Big forehead aside, she's crushing it.
She is crushing it. She's doing a fantastic job. Everyone on that show is doing a fantastic job. I'm Bella Ramsey, genuinely impressed. Hats off to her. I bet, Joe. I'm not. I don't mean this is a diss, brother.
Just saying.
Once you fall in love, and find that partner that is your person, I bet you moments like this show will hit harder. Joe Ains, why the fuck are you laughing at me, man?
I know, right? I was holding back the chuckles.
I'm
being this was the transition I never expected. I had no idea where you were going, and you took that turn. I'm not disagreeing with you. I didn't expect that.
I was like, man, Ains, you cold. Like when you're like, so my wife's in. This is maybe this is why, boys. Maybe this is it. My wife just had major shoulder surgery. Yeah. I've been doing everything for her the past few weeks, whether it was cutting food, whether it was helping, clean, whether it was helping just stuff like human stuff. And so in those moments where you see Bill take care of his partner, cut the meat for them and take them around the town and show them wonderful moments. And I'm trying to be vague.
Sure.
Damn, like that just feels. And I bet Joe that when you look at parents, Ains, I apologize.
Roll it back, because like for me, I have I take care of someone at my job, so like I understand that element of like I never understood like I'll take a bullet for this kid. Like as a teacher, you're like these are my kids, I'll take a bullet for them. I never
100%.
understood that until I actually started taking care of like someone on the spectrum. I'm like, oh, they need me, they depend on me on this type of level. And like just like them doing simple, like their smile, I'm just like I'd kill for that. That's the best thing ever. So like I totally get in that regard. Yeah, episode 3 did things for me emotionally where like I was getting sad. I was like, oh, am I about to cry? But it never happened. I was just like I can sit back and go, yeah, that was an excellent thing of television. Ains, I want to know what you think, bud. What have you thought of the Last of Us show?
I know you guys have been talking for a while here.
Now so you know how it feels.
Well, I was going to say, so the thing about Unreal Engine, right? The thing about Unreal Engine is that no, I'm kidding.
Son of a bitch.
I love the show so far. I think it has been fantastic production. I think it is evident that when you have someone as talented as Craig Mazin involved and knowing what lands on a TV screen and how to deliver a show properly, as he showed with Chernobyl, the transition has just been excellent. I don't have a lot to add that you guys didn't add. Episode 3 was a shift, right? Obviously, a huge transition away from the game. I do, as much as I enjoyed it, I do wish that we got to see, and I don't know how they would have done it. I'm just saying I do miss that we didn't get to see any of the banter between like Ellie and Bill that you get in the game, right? Because Ellie's the smart-mouthed, sarcastic kid at this point in the journey. And I think what the setup that the game did in that situation in Billstown was really cool. So I did miss that. But I think what they did with the episode was heartfelt. You guys kind of already said it. And I had a story to tell of what I said to my wife, because I've been watching it with my wife and my mom as well, who both, like I said before, don't game, don't know anything about it. They're both loving it. My wife really likes it. And I said something to her during the episode, but if I told you what I said to get my point across, it would kind of be a spoiler. So I don't want to do that for anyone who hasn't watched the show or watched the episode yet. But yeah, it was extremely well done. And if you watch, by the way, if you didn't know, they have like a 3 to 5 minute inside the show that you can watch for each episode, which is really good. So make sure you're watching those. And then they also you go click on the episode and then it'll show you extra things. And they do like it's like a couple quick interviews, Neil Druckmann, Craig Mazin, et cetera, and how they did certain shots. So that's really neat. And then they tease next week. And next week, you see the scenes, which I was hoping they would get to from the game. And I told my wife and mom, I was like, all right, next week. Like I realized this was slow, even though it was supposed to be slow this week. Next week, it kind of picks up on where Ellie and Joel and the story of their journey together. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pumped. I love it. One of the things go ahead.
I would say one of the things that's unique about The Last of Us is, depending on the experiences, positive and negative, you had in your life, it carries extra weight. If you've lost someone, if you lost someone of any kind, it's one of those. It carries a weight with you And that's true of a lot of things, but The Last of Us, the way it's written, I think does a good job of that.
Yeah, Last of Us 1, part of so not the self-plug here, but I genuinely believe it's one of the best things we've ever created at Season Gaming, is we did like a 17-minute retrospective on the greatest games ever made, and we did a video on The Last of Us called Examining the Classics. And I basically break down that game in every section of it. And I wrote it first as an article, and then we turned it into a video. And part of why The Last of Us, the original one, sits with me so heavily is Joel's journey. Well, both Joel and Ellie's journey through that game, both emotionally and kind of mentally, and where it ends, and why the decision at the end of the game that we all know was so important. And I think that if you have lived through certain things in your life and you have experienced certain things and you have family, have kids, what have you, right? People that are truly meaningful to you, the weight of that game really hit hard. Mm-hmm. And so, and I've appreciated that ever since I first played it in 2013. And that's why it's always been one of my absolute favorites. It's also why I don't like 2 as much, but we're not going to go down that route today. But I think the show so far is doing a really good job of capturing that. So it's good stuff. Yep. We got a super chat we need to get to that's been sitting for a while, by the way.
Oh, okay. I mean, I totally missed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tao in the house here. So Tao $5 super chat says, Cast Co-op back at it again. Ains, Vampy, Luke, and Joe. Take care, guys, and hit that like button. XEP, Trophy Room, and Big Cast, keep it up. Tao, always a big supporter, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Joe.
I just wanted to say thank you. Luke, good job upgrading the camera. But
Thank you.
Don't think it muffles the red. We still see it. We still see it. Yeah. We're all well aware.
And you can at least move the coffin behind you so we don't have to look at it.
Exactly. Come on.
You mean the PS5?
Yeah.
It's big. It's big.
Big. Hollowed it out.
Well played, sir.
Big boy.
Well played.
It's a big boy. Yeah.
Tao, thank you, man.
Can I talk about why I have a new camera? Is that okay to do?
How dare you?
Maybe
on
later.
this show
we'll
of all shows.
We'll talk about it later.
You want to segue us or you want me to segue, Luke? I don't care.
Go ahead, man. You're doing great segues tonight.
All right. Okay, good. Because I keep thinking of them like this is way too good to pass up. So, guys, I got a question then. What is E3's purpose? You know, because we got PlayStation left. Oh my God, Nintendo ain't gonna be there. Oh my goodness, and now Xbox is not gonna be there. Oh wow, IGN broke this news, I think late last night. I don't know if this is going to be a big topic, but I'd like to know your thoughts on what's happening.
I think the big news, the big news here, because remember, we haven't had an in-person E3 since 2019, right? So the big news here really is just Nintendo. The other two weren't news. My camera froze again. What the hell's going on tonight? I think I hit the cable. But in 2019, and I, if I recall correctly, it's PlayStation was there. Anyway, 2019. So Xbox, how it works is they have the Microsoft Theater, which is right across the street. So they essentially do it to where if you are part of E3, you can walk across the street with your E3 badge and get in over there, and they have their own setup. So it sounds like they may do that same thing this year. I think I saw a post earlier today saying Xbox has confirmed that that's what they're doing. So Xbox is no different. PlayStation wasn't there in 2019. We've all talked about that in the past. They weren't part of E3 anyway. That's not different. So really the big news here is Nintendo, because Nintendo took up about half a hall at the convention center. They had a big presence there, and they used to do Treehouse Live from E3, et cetera, et cetera. So if in the hall itself, there's none of the big three, because Xbox across the street, Nintendo, PlayStation aren't there, then that kind of goes along with what is ReedPop going to do from a fan perspective, because what they've talked about, right, is this is going to be a fan-based show. So it probably means you're going to see more third-party publishers, because the big ones are always there, Ubisoft, Bandai Namco, right. EA. Well, EA's not even there. They do EA Play. That's a whole nother discussion. But I would assume that they're going to bring in more third-party, and they're going to bring in kind of smaller hardware and indie developers to kind of fill that. But I don't know. And then Jeff Keighley comes out and says Summer Games Fest will be live at the YouTube Theater. Where the hell is that, by the way? I didn't even look it up. The YouTube Theater on June 8th. So I saw Tinsley PR.
It's at the Stadia headquarters.
I saw Tinsley said, well, now you have June 8th, you have a couple days for like media for E3, and then you have the fan event for E3. So it's like a week and a half now, but no one knows what's actually happening during that week and a half. It's really messy.
Yeah, it seems like E3 is just going to be, PAX, because what you literally just described is PAX East.
Yep.
Like you got you got the big brands, and then a whole bunch of strange stuff in the middle. And that's what, I love PAX for that. It seems like E3 is transitioning into something again different, and not to say outdated at all, but it's becoming a smaller piece of what used to be the center of big game announcements. It's just, this is now what it's transitioned into becoming, is just this smaller show that there'll be announcements, but they're everybody's off just doing their own thing, it looks like. Because when everybody's like PlayStation and Nintendo left, I'm like, PlayStation's been gone. And I understand from Nintendo's perspective, because knock on wood, hopefully by the time E3's out, Zelda's already out. So like, you don't need to make a big push for it, because it's already there. So what are you going to push? And as for Xbox, it's just strange, because a year or two ago they made such a big deal of how important E3 is to them. That's the only thing I can think of. But even then, what you described is what it's been for the longest time. So to me, not a bummer in the slightest. This is just what's happening. We're going into a more digital route. And that's why I hope when we, just to pivot back to for a second, when we do those Xbox developer directs, that they are more personable, because I think that's what we're truly missing as fans from these experiences. Isn't just the crowds, it's the developers talking, sharing that passion, or that shared passion being, being shared with you. Like it's important. So I hope we get more of that personality in these directs to come. But E3 is just what it is. It's not going to die. It's just going to be less relevant.
Yeah, I don't know.
Luke?
Oh, he's on mute.
I'm not muted. I'm just I didn't mean for the pregnant pause. It's just it's strange, because for so many years we've gone back and forth. How relevant is E3? How many shows were made by content creators, including us? Like, is E3 relevant? Do we still need it? Is this, that, the other? And Xbox did make a big show of how E3 is important. We're going to be there. But I got to tell you, man, I'm really hoping that XEP earns a place to get an invite to Xbox Fan Fest. I could not care less if I go to E3. And I think that is telling, right? I think that is telling of something. Now, would I eat my words and change my opinion? Absolutely. But right now, it's like, what's the point of E3 now? What is it there for? Why are we going there? Is it to spotlight indies? Because there are better ways to do that. Is it for third-party developers to showcase their games? Because there are better ways to do that. The direct formula and the fan fest type things, I think PlayStation, I forget what PlayStation calls it.
State of Place? That's what you're talking about?
No, when they welcome fans into their fan fest.
PlayStation Experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fan Fest and PlayStation Experience. There's a place for those, and there are a place for directs and those types of like pre-recorded things. But no, you don't need E3. Why spend the money anymore? Particularly when there are so many high caliber content creators or content creator organizations, think Kinda Funny, that will do their own spotlights, their own shows. When you've got IGN that's going to want to do their own show, when you've got, why go to the buildings and spend millions of dollars on booths? I'll go for a fan event where I can meet you guys and hug you guys and hang out and play games and meet developers and celebrate, versus stand in line for 4 hours
to maybe play a game
to
that I might not enjoy. Yeah.
Right. It's not a communal event.
And to think about that, I think the benefit is that now that there are so many shows to highlight a game, there's more opportunities for devs to get out there. Like, we brought up Kyle before, but like what he's doing with 6-1 Indie right now with their little mini indie showcase, like they had, I think it's over 300 developers submit for their showcase. Like there are developers that are chomping at the bit to be revealed or have like a velvet rope for them or whatever. I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
red curtain. But yeah, so I think that's important, and I think if we just highlight we're losing this and I'm losing my childhood, it's like, okay, we could get depressing there, or we can say, hey, how awesome is it that more indies, more games get highlighted because there's now just more shows that exist.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's what ReedPop, because we know what they've said so far, but we don't know the definitive plans or what it looks like. It's their first year doing this, and to your point, Joe, they do PAX. So there's kind of a template there of a fan base show, right? And we always talk about, hey, there's so many new developers, there's so many games coming out. Maybe it's a mistake, and I'm just literally this coming to the top of my head now, so tell me if I'm crazy, but maybe it's a mistake for us to put so much weight on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, right? They're so big, and they obviously can do their own show whenever the hell they want, and everyone will tune in, right? Maybe it's better for these shows to be an industry gathering, in-person gathering, where we can highlight AA and single A developers and games and outlets. I mean, I'll shout out for all three of us, right? Give us a chance to kind of get some spotlight and highlight some people and build some relationships with developers and publishers that we normally wouldn't. Maybe that's the way, a good way forward. And I've just to double down on that too, I have heard from Travis, from some of the people at IGN, that one of the biggest things they miss about E3 is kind of in that line, in that it's not so much about all the gaming news being in 1 week like it when we grew up, right? That's not the focus. It's that it is a lot of the core industry people coming together and being in the same place and having those friendships and the back alley conversations and all these other things about just getting together. There's a camaraderie there, and I think that's important to some degree. And I was lucky enough to get the experience that twice in 2018, 2019, and it is special. I had a great time, and it didn't even matter that, well, I would have loved for PlayStation to be there, right? But it didn't completely destroy the experience that they weren't. And I think there's still a lot to be had and a lot of content and good things that we can celebrate without focusing on just the big three.
Fair enough. I like it.
I'll tell you.
Go for it.
Sorry. One thing. A couple of people in the chat said the YouTube theater's in Inglewood. Giselle said it's 10 miles south of MS Theater. So what most people do in that area, because you're not driving around there, is, I would assume that what they plan for people to do is to stay in hotels or Airbnbs in that area, right? And then they're probably going to expect content creators or people like us covering on June 8th, Uber over to the YouTube theater for whoever gets invites, right, to cover that. And then in the coming days, support E3 and make it like a week-long event. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that shapes out.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Luke, what were you going to say? Bitch.
Just the idea that the chance to network is really important, especially for small creators. I think the idea of getting to be in the room with brass or getting a chance to meet some of the higher profile, higher tier people, that is an important moment. But are you going to do that if you're there to watch Skate 3? Or are you going to do that if you're there to see Assassin's Creed something or another? I don't know. But if you're there to see the next PlayStation game or the next Xbox game, I think it's different.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know that I have a point other than note that, but I don't think I have a thesis in that thought process.
I don't think any of us knows what this truly looks like, right, at this point in time, with a E3 coming back, a first ever in-person Summer Game Fest event, and what that looks like in 2023. I think it's going to be really interesting. And by now, normally in 2018, 2019, by this point in time, I had already booked my flight and hotel. I haven't yet because I don't know what the hell's happening. And I don't know what is most important to try and cover, what I'm going to get invited to, what's going to be easy to get into or not into. I have no idea. And I wish they would come out sooner rather than later and kind of give some ideas, because hotels and Airbnbs book up really quickly in that area. And it can be really problematic to try and get in there and cover stuff if you don't book it early.
Big time.
Yeah. You know what is, though, really easy to booking to get right now if you wanted it, Ains.
Oh boy, here he goes.
Transition.
God, this is good. I'm on it. I'm really on it, you know. The PSVR2, boys. Ooh, what's going on?
No one wants it, or they're not making enough? What's happening?
Okay, so good question. So apparently, disappointing pre-order numbers. So their target was 2 million of these to be shipped out. Apparently, rumor has it, speculation, if Jason Schreier got this information 2 weeks ago or not, but he's revealed it, that they have cut production by about half. It's 600,000 rather than what people have been suggesting, straight down the middle million. So a bigger figure than they would like, and that PlayStation is kind of, they're not pushing it because, not to say that they don't believe in it, but they don't think the tech's there yet. So they just want to have this piece of tech out there in the waiting so that they don't get Steam Decked, where, they killed off the Vita. They didn't have anything handheld wise. The Switch comes along, then the Steam Deck comes along, and they don't have anything, to make a very long story short. So they have something there to kind of appease the VR crowd, but it's really not meant to break through the mainstream of this in the slightest. Now,
it's a dumb approach.
It's a really stupid approach. Now, PlayStation has refuted those claims and said that they have not cut production in the slightest. But I would be remiss to say that they haven't made massive mistakes already pushing this piece of hardware out. It's idiotic to say, oh, we're going to put out a $550 piece of tech, which isn't dumb. I mean, listen, it's impressive tech from what everybody's saying. It's really awesome VR gear, but to have it released through a blog post, to have your launch lineup be mostly that of, remastered or, ported upward PSVR1 games that have backwards compatibility be in limbo for many games and just non-existent for others. It's been a mess, and all that just through blog posts. It's really infuriating. And at the same exact time, the only place that you can order this thing is through their store. You can't go to a Best Buy. You can't go to a GameStop. You can only get it through PlayStation Direct. It's infuriating. And I don't know. Part of me, I've taken crazy pills for a minute. I'm like, are they killing this thing to kill the Activision Blizzard deal? Like, part of me is like, because it's so stupid, like how the Activision devs like, look, they look at episode 3 of Last of Us, really popular. Xbox don't make that, neither do us. That's why we need each other. Like that type of like stupid, dumb logic. I don't know why, but it does seem like they're just letting this thing out to die. And it's aggravating because I think the tech's awesome. I think the games on it look great. I want those developers that poured their time, their energy into this project to be met by the same with their partner. And it just does not seem like that's the case. And that's what gets me so incredibly frustrated. I know, Ains, you
breathe, baby.
I unpacked a lot there. You saw how I did though.
You nailed it, man, because I think you literally covered pretty much all of my same thoughts. I was just saying in the chat that it's a really weird place to be because I'm pumped for it. I have my pre-order in. I'm very excited for this to come. We hear that Call of the Mountain, the people I know who have played it or read, I not know, but read their previews of it. They've said it's absolutely incredible. It's one of the best and most impressive VR games they've played. We know that it is bringing updates to a lot of popular VR games that are out there already on the Quest and Index and things and the Vive. It is, for the tech, it is reasonably priced. It is very advanced tech for the price. You have a PlayStation 5 console that has over 20 million units sold. So the install base, obviously it's not PC, but from a console perspective, the PS5 is doing extremely well, and it has a very positive reputation, right? There's a lot of positives for this. And then on the flip side, You have all the obvious things, right? $550 on top of a $500 PS5 is a big ask in the console market. You have availability, to your point, it's only through PlayStation Direct. You have the seemingly inexplicable lack of marketing for this thing. Like, I know when we talked months ago, we were like, they will absolutely, I mean, we were both like definitive on this. They will absolutely have a PSVR2 state of play before the unit launches, because you got to get people hyped for it, right? They haven't done shit. A PlayStation blog post is not going to do it.
Embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's weird and odd and frustrating, and it's a number of things all at once. And I think you covered that well already. I'm just rehashing at this point. But it just doesn't make sense. And to the first point, because I talked to Travis about this earlier today, who kind of said similar things, not from his point of view, but from people he's talking to, about PlayStation wants to have this out there as a nice piece of hardware that they can support, but they're not like fully invested. And when the hell has that ever succeeded in the gaming industry?
Don't even
it doesn't.
Put it out then.
It doesn't. It never succeeds. You have to take the risk and the gamble fully, and then hope it hits. And it might not, but it's a mess.
To me, it feels like this was like one of the remnants from the Andrew House era coming into, or sorry, the Sean Layden era coming into the Lion Ryan crying Jimbo.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Whatever lame rhyme we're hashtagging here. Where it's just like he probably just wants to focus on the AAA gems, right? And sees this tech going, okay, well, we've already invested this much into it, so let's put something behind it and have it here. You know, the recession's hitting, so hopefully it grows over time. But yeah, it seems like they're not truly invested in it, and it sucks because they're asking you to invest in it while they're just toying around with the idea. And I think that's silly. What say you, Luke, as someone not into VR, not into virtual reality? You hate PlayStation. You say it every week how they're dead. Is this thing the next Vita? Should I pull my pre-order?
That's all XEP is talking about how PlayStation's dead.
That's all it is.
That's true.
Yeah, I definitely don't praise PlayStation regularly on that show ever, or my Twitter feed. Never. It is the next Vita. I think it is the next Vita. I think it is the next Vita, and let me say that as somebody who had thousands of hours on his Vita, I loved that system. I had a pearl white one. I thought it was beautiful. I gamed on that thing all the time. From Unit 13 in the beginning to some of the great.
Dude, Vita's incredible. It's incredible.
I loved it. And I think that's what's gonna. I think that's what's gonna happen with PSVR 2, man. I think it's gonna be incredible. I think the people that know are gonna know, and it's not gonna have mass appeal. Like, if the reports of its numbers being under-delivered, it's like, well, yeah, no kidding. You're at PS3 era arrogance for people to afford this thing. Like, you are. Like, I will never pretend that expensive tech isn't worth the money, but I will always acknowledge that, like, people don't have money right now. Like, I didn't have money for the longest time. I couldn't have afforded a PS3, and I sold plasma to get my Xbox 360. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes that
God, I don't want to know what else you sold to get PS3.
That's not worth anything.
No, ask her. She. There's a reason you didn't go to college.
Okay. Right. Bring my mother into this.
But really and truly, like that tech is too expensive to be mass adopted, and mass adoption is what you need with hardware, so you can make money on your software. That's the entire business model of console gaming, and even that model is changing as they adopt cloud. I don't know if I don't mean to segue accidentally, but like, if anyone's been watching the Xbox cloud engineers on Twitter lately, people that have been making custom controls for these games, Age of Empires controls great on cloud, on mobile. They've been developing. There's money and time and effort poured into a new method of interface with games, and it doesn't require expensive hardware. it's like two directions away from consoles, and I don't know that this one's gonna be successful. And I'll tell you right now, boys, Xbox puts one out and I get an Xbox ecosystem, or I'm playing Halo in VR or Gears in VR in a heartbeat. Sure. If I'm playing Halo Wars in VR and I can manipulate and move, cool. But like, it's such a niche thing.
I love the enthusiasm, and I'm right there with you. But we just need them to be able to make a Halo game, period, at this point. So let's slow down.
Put the Age of Empires team on them, But you're right. But like, my point is, I get it, man. If you're an enthusiast and you got the money, shoot, I'd be in a heartbeat. Oh, sure. Yes. If I lived and breathed PlayStation, yeah. You tell me Horizon in VR and it's different than the game. Yes.
Oh, it looks fantastic. But why is it the only thing you have? I get Gran Turismo 7 in VR. Trust me, all about that too. But it feels like if you were truly invested in this, you would have more first party working on it. And maybe you do behind the scenes. But if you are, why haven't you talked about it?
Yep. Why haven't, and it goes to my deeper frustration of just with PlayStation. So y'all like, oh, it's been slow for Xbox. Guys, I haven't had a showcase in over a year now. Like, they don't talk.
Wait, is that true? I thought they had one in like August or September, didn't they?
They had a state of play. I'm talking about like a showcase.
Oh, yes.
You didn't get a showcase, but you got Horizon, Gran Turismo 7, Last of Us Remake, God of War Ragnarok. There's one other one. Wasn't Stray. Yeah. There's one more.
No, they counted Stray as it. Yeah. You had Horizon, you had Gran Turismo, Stray is
Last of Us Remake.
Okay. Last of Us Remake.
Remake and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm missing something. I mean, you had a hell of a year.
I mean, it was a great year, but
all PlayStation is GT, Horizon, and God of War.
I know, Horizon remakes.
Made a whole lot of games that couldn't beat Elden Ring.
That's right. But sold really well. But like, it goes with the frustration with PlayStation of late is that it's not even like they're arrogant to me. It's just like they're not even communicative. I can't pronounce words anymore, guys. They don't talk to me no more. Gosh darn it. And that's the thing that is annoying me. And as y'all probably listened to the Trophy Room, a few months ago, like you're hearing it in our voice. We're just less optimistic. We're just lucky if we get anything at this point. And it's sad. It's I put out a tweet yesterday. I'm just like, hey, if you're a dev, come on the show. And we have a lot of conversations with devs in the VR space because we want to spotlight them. We want them to sell their games to you, sell their wares to you, talk about the passion, what we talked about earlier. And it just doesn't seem like it's there with PlayStation. And that sucks. Because even PS1, like PSVR1, there was a ton of games that launched coming from PlayStation as well. So I don't know what it is now with them that they're so timid, but I understand that they're gonna sell less. I mean, the recession's hitting everybody really hard. It's probably all Joe Biden's fault. I don't even know anymore. But like, eggs are the cost of gold. Gold is the cost of eggs. Everything's crazy. So like, to me, it's I expect the forecast to be lighter than they originally thought, but to see them not even be nearly as interested in it is shocking.
I need to call out. We got an amazing comment here. And Fusion64 says PS4 was long hair Metallica, PS5 is short hair Metallica. That's just amazing. That's a great analogy.
I understand that reference.
I think it. I don't know. When you look at it's Joe. How do I even start my thought process here? PlayStation just seems to be in a really weird place because PS5 is selling incredibly well. Their game releases have been on point, right? And they've been very highly critically rated releases. We've talked about that. They just delivered their version of the Elite controller, and by all accounts, it seems to be excellently made. We've got it right here in front of us. PSVR2, from a tech perspective, looks incredible. And yet, we've talked about this, right? There's a lot of aspects of PlayStation right now from just a feel. They don't feel like that fan-friendly company that you just want to hang out with like they did in the PS2 PS2 and PS4 eras. It feels, to Luke's point, like they're back in the PS3 era, and that's not a good feeling. Like it's just it's a weird thing right now. I don't know. They feel very corporate, very corporate.
I think I said on the trophy room a few weeks back, it's like they're very corporate Kane right now. That's a reference some people will understand. And this is the Jim Ryan era, and as successful as they are, it feels like the least fun era to be in, because even like the PS3 era, for all its faults, you saw a company try its best to go back into the good graces of gamers and earn the love and admiration again after they were big dumb idiots for the first year or two, right? And for this one, it's just like they're just scared to talk to me. Like I feel like they're so timid. It feels like, not that we're like quote unquote losing, but it feels like they're just so intimidated by the competition, which is Microsoft. Like all we're hearing about Jim Ryan doing is flying to Brussels and trying to convince people that this deal is so scary. And that's why, like a part of me is like, are they just killing this thing to show that, hey, look, we can't do it nearly as well as Microsoft can? Like, is it that stupid corporate? You know, like it just makes me bummed because even in the PS3 era, there were awesome games that were different, unique, that look different. Like when I look at Hi-Fi Rush, I look at some of the games that Xbox is doing. They're weird, you know, and to me,
they're fun. They're different. Pentiment.
Pentiment, Hi-Fi.
It's like, you know, a lot of people equated like, oh, this is Dreamcast. Like, no, I think this is PS3. Like, you look at Pentiment, I think of Puppeteer, right? Like
Puppeteer was great. Yeah.
You know, to me, I look at a Hi-Fi Rush and I'm like, oh my God, that looks. And it's cool that the way it was even announced and just shadow dropped. It was just like, this feels different. This feels nice. It feels like we're celebrating something together, and that's what I want PlayStation to do so damn much.
Yeah, and you know, and then the reverse. We've all been complaining, well, not all, but complaining about Xbox's 2022, and Phil did the interview with IGN a couple days ago or end of last week, basically, you know, and Phil's he speaks extremely well. I've said this before. He's very direct, but he's also his words are very carefully chosen. But he did acknowledge 2022 was a letdown, and you know, they need to do better. And we've heard that before, but we are seeing the signs that they are, right? We just talked about earlier in the show. Hi-Fi Rush is amazing. Shadow Drop. We got a fantastic developer direct. We have hard release dates for big games. Whether you like Minecraft Legends or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a huge game.
Age of Empires.
Age of Empires, Redfall is going to be a great one. Obviously, it goes without saying, Starfield's going to be a bomb drop. Forza looks absolutely spectacular. And we're getting all those games this year. Never mind, like we said, the Game Pass deals they're making too. We just heard Show is going to be Game Pass day one again too. Atomic Heart, Liza P, all the stuff we said long. So they just feels like Xbox was in a place where they were doing all the fan stuff. We've talked about this. They weren't delivering on the games. PlayStation is delivering on the games, doing the opposite, whatever the hell they're doing with fan stuff, which is next to nothing. But Xbox now feels like they've turned that corner. We hope. We've said this before. They've turned that corner.
Let's not jinx it.
I know, not jinx it, but it's looking really good for this year, right?
Yeah.
PlayStation has to, at some point, they have to take a step back from the financial sheets and say, yes, things look good right now. We're selling stuff. We're doing this. But how are we interacting with our fans? What are we doing from a fan perspective that's really, you know, building that love of the brand? Because sales sheets don't last forever, and they can turn on you, especially in this industry, in an instant. I only have to point to the Xbox One, which we've all done a million times. So and PS3 for that matter, right? I think PlayStation really needs to take a step back, and someone needs to reel in Jim Ryan, because it feels like this shift happened with him. It just does. And we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
They need to figure that out. I don't need to figure out anything. Just give me more shit.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. Hey, could we just talk about like a game we've been playing real fast before we leave? Because I know it's about
talk about Dead Space.
Yeah, I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, talk about that in Hi-Fi Rush real quick.
Oh, okay, good. Can I talk about Dead Space first?
Go.
I am at the last level of Dead Space, playing it on medium. I I've devoured all of this game. I've done all the side missions. It's recaptured the love that I have. Like, y'all don't know this, but like, this was my Bloodborne. Before Bloodborne, there was Dead Space. That was the game I stand. I love the original. It's what got me into survival horror games. Yeah, I owe a tremendous lot to it. This remake is, to me, the best remake I've played. Just period.
It is incredible.
Motive understood the assignment, man. Like, I was listening to one interview where they're just like, we want to respect the players that played it for the first time, but we also want to scare them again. And they've achieved it. And every time I get scared in this game, I'm like, oh, you got me. Like, it's immediately like, oh, you got me, old so and so. You're a cheeky one. Like, the environmental, not just like storytelling, because there are some changes to the remake that I appreciate. Like, it cuts to the like Lovecraftian cultish stuff way sooner than you think. And the sound design in this game is just the best sound design in a video game. Like, everything sounds terrifying.
It's remarkable.
It's just remarkable. And I don't know what to say about the audio, though. It just feels perfectly layered. Like, you have this weird ambiance that's always right in front of you, and a creak of a doorway happening, like you can hear it like close to you, and then in the distance you're just hearing growling, and you're like, what the?
I need to put my headphones on. I've been playing with the soundbar.
No.
No.
You gotta, you gotta play this in 3D audio if you can, in whatever way that is. To Joe's point, it's like it's doing environmental storytelling through the sound, and when that's done right, it changes the game experience entirely. It's amazing.
Yeah. And there are moments like the story itself, that like the voice acting, like some of the script, it is reminiscent of like, this thing was written in mid 2000. But for the most part, man, it's perfect. It really is. Like, I'm just, again, re-falling in love with it. And it is a game where I'm just like, my only debate now is like, do I go on hard next or do I go straight to impossible? Like, that's the only thing I'm questioning right now. Because
for New Game Plus, impossible.
Yeah,
you think so?
Do it.
And if I die, just set it to hard.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
Beat it, pansy.
Well, no. So what I'm gonna do is beat it on hard. So like the recommended thing, because I'm gonna try to platinum this game, is beat it 3 times, right? Apparently the average time played is like 17 hours to beat. I'm gonna beat it in 14, 15. Humble brag. But you could just beeline it on hard and impossible. But they want you to do it twice over so that you have enough like money and schematics to go to do it on impossible for the third and final run. So that's what I'm kind of thinking.
So I'm going to repeat what I said. Just beat it on impossible and man the F up. What's wrong with you?
Okay. I'm sorry, Dad.
God, this guy. I swear. Children.
I recently got every achievement in Callisto. I did Callisto on New Game Plus, hardest difficulty, had a blast. Jumped into Dead Space. And dude, I love it. And Dead Space is really easy on medium. And so I'm kind of annoyed because I'm in like chapter 5 or 6 of Dead Space. I'm like, I really want to up the difficulty, but kind of like what Joe's saying, it's like go through on medium, get your resources, and then do New Game Plus on harder. I think that's going to be what I do if I go back, because I want to. I really am liking Dead Space. However, something about it isn't clicking for me the way Callisto did. I don't know why, because it's clearly amazing, and I think it's obviously better in a lot of ways. I'm gonna try doing headphones. I think that's gonna be maybe that's what's missing. Was just an environment feel, but I didn't get that with Callisto. But I am gonna try that. It could be that I love Doom 3 so much, and Dead Space very much reminds me of Doom 3.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else gets that kind of vibe, but I'm
just really, you're dumb.
But I really like it. Like, I really like it. Like, it's really fun. I'm really glad this game is out now, and that we've got time before kind of something bigger is that I want. Because there are a few games in February I want to play, but the big stuff was Jedi, and Resident Evil, and I got time now. So
okay, yeah, I'm adoring it as well. I'm still pretty early. I haven't had a lot of time to game since last week, but yeah, I'm loving it. It's
your
fantastic.
interns call out?
I wanted to finish this before Hogwarts, but that's
how dare you?
That's not looking like that's going to happen. So, but yeah, absolutely, and definitely, if you whether it's whatever 3D audio, headsets, theater, whatever you use, just make sure you're playing this with 3D sound because it's nuts. Real quick, I know we've touched on it a few times, but Hi-Fi Rush, I don't know if either of you have played it. I'm still very early on it, but what I've played of it is incredibly impressive. Yeah, it's the animations on it, kind of the way it sets up, just the delivery of the characters and the narration and stuff is excellent. It's got like little homages to like Scott Pilgrim and other like Easter egg type things in there. The gameplay is super smooth. It is just, it's like a rhythm game where it rewards you when you attack in the rhythm that matches it how you want to, but it doesn't make you feel bad when you don't. Like, you don't have to. It just makes it even better when you do. And it's really, really, really well done. And it's really, I just love seeing Tango get some praise and love and everything else that goes with this release, because Shinji Mikami is a legend in the industry. Tango is a very talented dev. I feel that Evil Within 1 and 2, while they're generally loved, they didn't get the large scale recognition that they should have. Ghostwire is a very unique game that I really enjoyed what I played of it, but it didn't seem to break through that kind of cultural barrier for whatever reason. So it's just cool to see Hi-Fi Rush get that for them and to be such a highly praised game. So loving it.
That's awesome. I still have yet to play it. That's the game that I'll probably be playing next. But man, like, the animation work is stellar.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
From what I've seen, it looks just so damn good. So I'm excited for that. I can't wait to play it, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. What say you, Luke?
So I played this. I'm not a rhythm person. I'm sure you're shocked. I don't have any rhythm whatsoever.
What?
Like, yeah, I know.
You got to get some melanin before you can get some rhythm.
I know. Hold on, I can change.
I say that. Me.
There we go. Melanin.
There you go. Oh, are you just like that? You turned Spaniard. This is beautiful. Hello, brother Luke.
Hola.
The hair still gives them away.
Yo tengo. Okay. So, I really am. Really enjoy the tutorial. Played through the tutorial, which is really long. For a tutorial. My wife watched me play it, which was cool. Is Ains frozen or just staring?
I am frozen again. I don't know. I don't know if I keep hitting the cable.
Look at him.
I know.
Oh, that's a man that's about to eat a child. So
dude, that was before this show. Calm down.
Oh,
really enjoying it as a non-rhythm person. My wife was watching me play, and she has a musical background, and she was fascinated by like all the ways to pick up on the beat. She's like, oh, you can see it here, you can see it here. She was locking in on all that, and I was saying how I was like, I'm getting visually overloaded by it. She said, no, that's what's helping you. I can tell, like, you're getting better. And I was getting better as I played through the tutorial. Really, really impressive game. Really, really exciting game. If you like Hi-Fi Rush, you should keep an eye on XEP.
Oh my, that is what we call a sneaky little plug. All right.
Yep.
Boys, I'm tired. I need to take
a muted, big guy. You're muted.
Yeah.
We got another super chat. Midnight Jury in the house saying $5 super chat saying thank you for another great show. He basically said, you ain't got to go home, but get the hell out of here. He's just ending the show for us. He's like, I've had enough of these idiots. Yeah, I get it.
May I plug my recent announcement?
Yes, Jury, thank you very much for the super chat. Luke's always focused on himself, but we do appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let me go ahead and hide this so Luke can get to talking about whatever the hell he's going to talk about.
This is really mean. This is a big step for me.
I know it is. I'm kidding.
I was like, dang, dude.
Damn, bro.
Yes, Addington. Provided the schedule holds. Yes. So big news for me for XEP after 3 years of doing XEP, 90 plus developer interviews on the show, 150 plus episodes of solo in 2023. Made a lot of changes, branched out, brought Captain Logan as a co-host. Really enjoying that.
You guys have great chemistry, by the way.
Thank you. We legitimately do, which is kind of cool.
Legitimately do, yeah.
But yesterday
you should DM that guy and say, "Hey, how do you like it now?"
you can tell they love each other. You know what I mean? It's genuine.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do love Logan. He's pretty great.
Which one's Bill?
Okay. This is getting awkward as I try to talk about this. So the part that I'm really proud of and was nervous about is that yesterday we launched the Patreon for XEP. And
what a show.
That's a really big deal, I guess, for me, because I was always worried that XEP wasn't worth people supporting financially and whatnot. Ains, thank you. Ains, you guys on Season Gaming have an incredible community that operate and help you guys out with super chats. And it's always cool to see the generosity there. Joe, you have a wonderful Patreon community there. And so to be starting that and have gotten a very kind reception from people, both in sharing that page, which some people that don't want to support financially have been wonderful and able to share the tweet out or the link out for the Patreon for XEP. That has meant the world. But that's what helps me pay for Zencaster, which lets me interview developers. And I've got 2 this week, one scheduled for tomorrow night and then one the next night. Cough, hint, hint. They're both Xbox exclusives. That's what helps me pay for this new camera, which, boys, I got to tell you, I think it looks a lot better than the other one does.
You actually look alive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me and Joe said the same thing.
For anybody that hasn't seen XEP in 2023, it's video now.
Really holding up alive.
It's video. Shut up. It's video now and edited, and I had got editing software, and I've been learning that, and I'm really trying to step it up. And so Patreon is going to help me do a lot of that stuff and ease the burden that I've kind of carried solo for 3 years. So that's what I wanted to say. Pardon the interruptions from you two goofballs, but in a world where you guys are crushing super chats, Joe, you're crushing Patreon. I was scared to try and even enter that world, and so it was a big step, I guess, for XEP. So
welcome to a newfound anxiety, sir.
Thank you. For anybody in there,
I will put the link in the sorry, Luke, I was going to say, someone said drop the link. I'll put the link in the description.
There you go.
Okay.
Going forward. And Joe, I'll make sure to get trophy rooms as well. I put our channels and Twitter, but I'll put your guys' Patreon under each too.
I'm still putting it in the chat because
Patreon.com/PS trophy rooms where you can find us,
But yeah, it means the world. And so thank you guys. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I think Joe's not joking with the anxiety thing, but I do think that like you said, fantastic content, unique interviews, and I wish you the best with it, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. And none of it's gated. None of the normal stuff is gated behind the Patreon. But yeah, I'm scheduled for, and if it schedules hold, and developers sometimes have to change their own schedules, 2 Xbox exclusive games being interviewed this week, which is pretty.
And can I give them a hint? It rhymes with Schmarfield.
It is not Starfield. Schmedfall.
These guys are tired.
But doors are opening. Doors are opening, guys.
All right. Listen, before Angie, you give your whole spiel. I do, we talked about it a little bit in DMs. Link to our good friend Game Positive in the chat. He did his own little award show, which I saw on the Twitter sphere. And from one person that pushes a yearly show to another, it's a whole lot of work. So please hit that link. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe to Game Positive, what they're doing over there. That's really awesome to see, because all he wants to do is probably highlight awesome games that came out this year and share his love of games with you guys. So hit subscribe, hit like, hit share. Go follow Game Positive on Twitter and do the same. Share that content out. I saw some of like the little gifts that he made. I was like, ooh, hot boy, hot damn. That gave me ideas for next year. So yeah, Hats off to
Yeah.
you.
Are we? We're all
Yeah,
in that show, right?
Yeah, Eric.
Not me. That's cool.
I thought
Must
you
have
were.
sucked to be someone flake on you and say they'll call you back and never do.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yes.
Maybe next year.
Game Positive is Eric. Great guy. Season gaming contributor, and he's obviously he has young kids at home. He wants to do more content creation when he can. But obviously time's a factor, but he put a lot of work into this. So if you're not aware with exactly what Joe's talking about, because I don't know if you actually said what it was, Joe, but it's the Game Pass Awards for 2022. So he did basically a community awards show for Game Pass focus releases for 2022. And it debuted, an hour ago, guys, on his channel.
Yeah, it went live while we were chatting. So I'm definitely
gonna yeah. So definitely check that out. I hope that it's gone extremely well for him. Obviously, I haven't been able to look, but it would mean a lot if you guys support it.
Go put the link in chat for anybody that's listening and maybe not watching. Definitely check out that link, and then I threw the attitude. I threw that link in there for you too for Patreon.
Cool.
There you go.
I'll go, Joe, since you close us.
Yeah.
So for season gaming, I talk about the same stuff on Bigcast. A lot to talk about on Bigcast. This week, we have a very special guest, Ian Runkle, who is part of the LawTube community, one of Hoag's good friends, also a gamer, and we're going to have a lot of funny conversations around that. So I hope that anyone who likes Bigcast can swing by. That should be a fun one. He's never been a guest on Bigcast before, so it should be funny. We should have a lot of laughs, and obviously kind of tributing to Hoag there. We have been talking to Hoag pretty much every day. So he is progressing well. He is ahead of schedule in terms of rehab. Obviously a lot of work. I think he said it's like 10 hours a day that they're working on, but he has made a lot of progress and continues to surprise the doctors, which is very good news. So that's awesome. We continue to wish him the best. If you didn't see the little care package we sent him for Cracker Barrel and Resident Evil and whatnot, you can check out last week's Bigcast for that. But in terms of the site, we have a bunch of reviews kind of coming on, and we're making some kind of really nice updates to the way we present reviews and other things as well. So stay tuned for that. We have a Dead Space review probably going live tomorrow. I know it's a little bit late, but it's due to who wrote it for us. Zach, it's his first review. He is a Dead Space fanatic. All the comics, the novels, the podcast, the lore, like he knows everything about it. And he wanted to go through this remake really intensely. So that's going up. Hi-Fi Rush review is up from Elu. We've got a bunch of stuff coming. So as always, just appreciate your support. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Trophy Room himself.
You can find me. First off, this week's episode of the Trophy Room will be recorded tomorrow. So this week it's a huge week for PlayStation. It's a huge week for the Trophy Room. Just alone, we got our thoughts on Dead Space. We got Season, a letter from the future review. We have my impressions of the PlayStation DualSense Edge controller, and that's just the things we've been playing, let alone talking about all that VR goodness, the live from PlayStation little marketing push that we're seeing from PlayStation with them possibly teasing Uncharted 5. Who knows what's going on there? All that and so much more over there on the Trophy Room. So make sure you're following us over on PS Trophy Room on Twitter. Make sure you're following the show, the Trophy Room PlayStation Show video version on YouTube, on anywhere you get your RSS feed, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, you name it, it's there. And we're gonna be doing some really cool stuff in February, which we can start teasing hopefully on Friday. So a lot of cool stuff happening. Can't wait. And you know what? Hey, listen, here's a little Patreon pitch. Wait for it. www.patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. Bam. You get cool stuff, cool rewards while supporting the show, making us look so good, sound so great. It's because of your generosity over at patreon.com/PS Trophy. That's how you do it, Luke. It's that damn simple.
Got a lot to learn.
Luke, would you like me to pull this oldie but goodie back out?
Thank you. That is a good
39% say that I'm the worst story of my
Wait, when was that from?
life.
April of 2021.
Still holding up.
Wow.
Hey, we still podcasting together, boys. That's cool.
Yeah, that's nearly 2 years ago. Jesus, man, time flies.
That's cool. I didn't think
I
I never
resent you
realized
both. It's not faded.
Joe, tell them what the package for your controller said. This is funny.
Oh yeah. What was it called? You called me. What was it? Something McGee. Oh my God, why am I blanking on it?
You're seriously not going to tell the story?
I
go into the UPS store.
Please go for it. This is a good
story.
Go
into the UPS store and I'm like, hey, I need to ship this controller to my friend. He doesn't know how to change his password on his account or something.
It's not.
And this guy was like, all right. And it's like, when do you want it to get there? I said, honestly, he told me to ask about same day shipping. He goes, you're not doing same day shipping for a controller. I said, all right. He goes, that'll be $100. It'll get there Monday. $15. It'll get there Tuesday. I said, I'm gonna save this kid from himself. He goes, all right, what's his name? I said, Douche McGee, DOOSH McGee. And the guy just started laughing. He's like, all right. So we shipped it to Douche McGee. So I text Joe and I'm like, hey, they said it'd be $100 for same day, and I was gonna save you for yourself, so it's just 15. He did not read past $100. Suddenly my PayPal is plus 100.
I got excited. God forbid I get
Why
excited.
would you think it would be $100 to ship the controller?
I just trust him. He's just like, hey, it would cost $100. And I'm here.
You never trust a vampire. That's your first mistake.
I know.
Red
I've been a familiar before, and it's always just a pain. Anyway.
Hey, a Blade reference. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, listen, I got it. I love it. It's great. Now I'm going to see the battery life and how awful it is. Piece of crap.
I'm actually most curious about longevity because we know as much as I love the Elite 2, it has problems. So I'm curious to see how this holds up long term with some abuse.
Same. All right, everybody. With all that said, with all that out of the way, I love you. I'm gonna miss you, and we're gonna see you in 2 weeks, which is a Fortnite, not to be confused with the video game Fortnite that's created by Epic Games. Originally, Fortnite meant 2 weeks, which means
Epic Games makes Unreal Engine, right?
And it makes Unreal Engine.
Oh, okay.
And
they make Halo. Is what you mean?
And every dollar you give Todd Sweetie, he saves a tree, and he names it Little Jimmy 1 and Little Jimmy 2, and they all go to school together. And they go to Tree College and they have tree friends. Okay, everybody, keep casting that co-op.